The time check was brought to you by Seiko.
Welcome back to TVB News. In Taiwan, new Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je has stressed the need to promote democracy. Ko was one of 22 heads of cities and counties sworn in today. They won in local elections held on the island last month. Ko unveiled plans to further develop the city, saying a strong Taipei would boost the entire Taiwan. He's an independent who had the backing of the opposition Democratic Progressive Party during the campaign.
Elsewhere in Asia, Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha said today that martial law will be maintained and general elections will have to wait in order for the country to return to stability. The former army general who seized power in a coup in May made the remarks in a year-end speech to government officials. Thailand is still under martial law following the coup, which the army said was needed to bring stability to the country after a decade of factional rivalry. And the military government announced last month that general elections planned for late 2015 would be delayed until 2016. In his speech today, Prayut also called China a good example of economic development. He urged Thais to stop bickering and look to China for inspiration. Prayut recently made a two-day visit to Beijing to forge closer ties, following a chill in relations with Europe and the United States. Several Western nations imposed sanctions and downgraded ties with Thailand in response to the coup earlier this year. Well, thousands of Christian pilgrims from around the world gathered in the biblical town of Bethlehem for Christmas Eve, celebrations at the traditional birthplace of Jesus. A procession was led from Jerusalem into Bethlehem, passing through Israel's concrete separation barrier, which surrounds much of the town. Worshippers then celebrated Mass at the Church of the Nativity. The event helped bring cheer and lift spirits in the area after a difficult year of conflict and failed peace efforts. Meanwhile, Pope Francis celebrated Christmas Eve with a late Mass in St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. The 78-year-old pontiff unveiled the figurine of a newly born Jesus and kissed its knee before beginning the Mass. Earlier, during a phone call, Francis urged Christian refugees in a camp in northern Iraq to stay strong.
And back locally, while many families celebrate Christmas together, some Hong Kong children are often separated from their mainland mothers. Today, the Society for Community Organisation, or SOCO, rallied outside Government House, urging the Chief Executive to help reunite families separated across the border. Wen Feng reports.
Around 20 children and their mothers gathered at Statue Square in Central this morning. The kids' Hong Kong fathers have either died or abandoned them, but the mothers do not have the right of residence in Hong Kong and can't stay in the SAR permanently to take care of the children. SOCO estimates there are around 7,000 children from such families. When it's time for the mothers to go back to the mainland, the children have to follow them or be left alone in the city.
Our petition today is to request the Chief Executive to concern the family reunion right of the children in Hong Kong, to allow their mother to come to Hong Kong to take care of them.
The ralliers marched to Government House, where the children posted their wish to reunite with their mothers on the Christmas tree. This woman says the constant travel has been detrimental to a child's studies and psychological well-being. This boy says his Christmas wish is for his mother to be allowed to stay and work in Hong Kong. The ralliers handed over a petition urging the chief executive to ask mainland authorities to issue one-way permits to the mothers. In addition, SOCO hopes the Hong Kong government will exercise its discretionary power and grant residency to the mainland mothers. Owen Fung, TVB News.
ATV has still not paid its 700 or so employees their November salaries. The Chinese section of the station's news department has confirmed that most of its staff plan to continue working until at least the 7th of January. But the company may still be in breach of its license conditions come 2015. Sources say the English news section will stop putting out the news on New Year's Day if staff members are still not paid by the end of this year. According to sources, English news staff of ATV plan to stop working from the 1st of January in order to put pressure on the company's shareholders. The broadcaster's free-to-air TV license requires it to run at least 2 15-minute news bulletins between 6 p.m. and midnight each day on both its English and Chinese channels. This comes as a manager of the news department said most of the staff on the Chinese news side have now decided to stay working until at least the 7th of January. But she couldn't say what staff members would do if there's still no pay by then, which is when workers will have officially been owed 2 months' salaries. It's against the law to not pay monthly wages by the 7th of each month. But the managing editor said newscasts will be shortened and will contain less local news as they expect fewer people on hand. On his way to Beijing for a duty visit, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said the Labour Department will make sure workers' rights are protected. As for the licensing issue, Leung said he will keep a close eye on the situation, and if there's any problem, the government will handle it in accordance with related laws and policies. He said the government has already received suggestions regarding license renewal from the Office of the Communications Authority. After government analysis, the recommendations will be handed over to the Chief Executive in Council for the final decision. Both ATV and TVB have their free-to-air licenses up for renewal at the end of 2015. All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
Yeah, some Christmas fun to talk about, but also some serious stuff too. Cleveland star LeBron James returns to his old stomping ground in Miami later tonight with the Cavs ready to take on the Heat. Miami star Dwayne Wade, who's friends with James, says his former teammate will be welcome back and expected a good game ahead.
Obviously, it's going to be an exciting game for our fans. It's going to be an exciting game from the standpoint of being Christmas, and this is our first time playing each other. But that whole, weirdness, awkwardness that it could be, that's out the window.
Former Italy and Chelsea star Gianfranco Zola will be the new coach of Serie A side Cagliari. He replaces Zdeněk Zeman, who was sacked this week after 2 wins in 60 matches left them in the relegation zone. The 67-year-old Zeman, a Czech, took charge of Cagliari in July, but the Sardinians have not won a home league game in this campaign, and they're currently 18th